So let's have an illustrative problem, no? Let's have here Roa Corporation articles authorize the issuance of 100,000 ordinary shares. And then Roa sold the following ordinary shares during 2018. So if you will be asked how many shares yung authorized, the answer is 100,000 shares. And then what is being required from us? Prepare the appropriate journal entries to record each issuance assuming yung different scenario. So let's see how to prepare or how to journalize itong transactions from Feb 12 up to up to November 5. So for the first scenario, yung ordinary shares ninyo has a $100 per share par value. So let's see how to journalize yung entries natin, no? From Feb 12 up to November 5. Now, before ko makalimutan, before Feb 12, the first entry that you prepare, the first entry talaga na makita natin when I will look at your books, when you form your corporation, is the recording of your authorized capital. Now, hindi siya journal entry. What you prepare will be a memorandum entry. Ano lang susulat mo doon? In this case, for example, the name of the corporation is Roa Corporation. You just simply state there, Roa Corporation is authorized to issue 100,000 shares. So if we will use scenario number 1, then your memorandum entry will be Roa Corporation is authorized to issue 100,000 ordinary shares at 100 pesos per share par value or with a par value of 100 pesos per share. So, ganun lang yung gawin mong entry to recognize yung authorized capital. Hindi journal entry yung gagawin ha. Anong gagawin natin? Memorandum entry. So, to continue, sagutan natin yung hiningi sa atin from this particular problem. So, on Feb 12, you receive cash. How much? 100,000. And then you credit ordinary shares, 100,000. For July 10, if you notice, dalawa na yung credit ko, hindi lang ordinary shares. Meron na ako this time, share premium. Bakit meron na akong share premium this time? Because, sa Feb 12, yung natanggap mo na cash is 100,000. And now, if you divide it with the number of shares you issued in Feb 12, you will notice that the issue price is equal to your par value, which is also 100. So, if the issue price and your par value is equal, then wala tayong share premium. Now, how is July 10 different from Feb 12? Sa July 10, yung cash na natanggap mo is 630,000. Now, if you spread that dun sa number of shares that you issued in July 12, the issue price is more than what? Is more than the par value. So, yung excess dun sa par value, saan pupunta? We create another account title. We call that account title share premium. Now, nilagay ko lang dito dash OS. Ba't ko nilagay dash OS? Kasi if ever meron kayong preference shares, meron din posible yung share premium. So, para ma-differentiate lang yung share premium ng OS from the share premium ng PS, lagyan lang natin ng dash. So, you have here share premium dash OS. Pero if ever you only issue one type of shares, then there's no need to emphasize yung share premium na yon. Now, November 5, very similar to July 10. So, again, if you spread the 1,050,000 with the number of shares you issued in November 5, you will notice that the issue price is greater again sa 100. Then, the issue price, anong treatment na, the excess dun sa, so, ang excess rather ng issue price dun sa par value, anong treatment natin doon? It will go to your share premium OS. So, that's how you prepare entries if merong par value yung shares na binenta ninyo. Any excess saan pupunta? Sa share premium. So, ma'am, I have noticed Yung ordinary shares, yung multiplier ko ba talaga dyan is always the par value? The answer is yes. If par value shares itong ini-issue ninyo, when you look at ordinary shares na account title, yung amount doon is equal always to the par value. Of course, mag-iiba yun depende sa number of shares that you have issued. But the multiplier to get the total amount is always be your par value. Now, ma'am, pag par value yung shares, pwede bang ibenta yon at less than par? Pwede mong ibenta at less than par basta issued na originally. Pero kung first issuance pa, ma'am, anong ibig mong sabihin ng first issuance pa? Kung galing pa sa authorized shares yung binenta mo, ibig sabihin, itong mga shares na ito hindi pa naibenta before, then it is illegal to sell shares below par value. You can only do that if naibenta mo na originally, tapos binayback mo, tapos binenta mo ulit. You can now sell that below par value. Pero upon original issuance, you cannot sell shares of stocks below par value. So it's either may share premium ka or wala. But definitely, you cannot sell shares pag original issuance below par value. Now, let's take a look at scenario number 2. Yung scenario number 2, wala siyang par value but instead meron siyang stated value. So, no par pero with stated value. Then, how much is the stated value here? It's 10 pesos per share. So, the same process lang. What you do, whatever cash you receive, you spread it over the number of shares that you issue. So, in Feb 12, 100,000 spread mo sa number of shares you issued in Feb 12, and then you notice that the issue price again is more than your stated value. So, if it is more than the stated value, then the excess can be credited to your share premium. If the shares are no par value shares. Pero pwede ring lahat nung cash that you receive, record mo na sa ordinary shares. Pwedeng wala ka ng share premium. Kasi nga, that's why as a no par value shares. Pero ako personally, I prefer na may share premium. Especially pag yung no par value shares merong stated value. So let's do that ha, all throughout the exercises. Even in your summative exam, pag yung shares na in-issue, kahit no par, basta meron siyang stated value, gumamit tayo ng share premium. So, how much yung share premium natin? 90,000. And then, how much yung napunta sa ordinary shares? 10,000. That's 1,000 shares times 10 pesos per share, you get 10,000. Pero yung cash that you receive is 100, so the excess of 90, saan napunta? Dun sa inyong share premium. Then we go to July 10. How much cash did we receive in July 10? That's 630. Now, if you spread that over, how many shares? Over 5,000 shares in July 10, then definitely the issue price is greater than 10. So, the excess over the issue price, the excess ng issue price over the stated value, saan again pupunta? Pupunta sa inyong share premium OS. Yun palang Feb 12, pakilagyan na lang ng dash OS ha, nakalimutan kong lagyan. Then we go to November 5. So, November 5, how much cash did you receive? 1,050,000. And then, how many shares lang yung in-issue mo? 7,500 shares. So, 7,500 shares, you multiply that by 10, you get 75,000. Pero yung cash that you receive is 1,050,000. That's why the excess of 975 will go to your share premium. So, ma'am, yung key takeaway ko dito, no par, pero with stated value, yung amount na makikita ko sa ordinary share is equal to the stated value multiplied by the number of shares issued. Tama ba yung na-notice ko, ma'am? The answer is yes. Now, for the last scenario, paano, ma'am, pag yung shares wala ng par, wala pang stated value? Since walang par, walang stated value, then wala tayong share premium. Whatever cash you receive, lahat ng amount na yun will be recorded as ordinary share. So cash, 100,000 debit in Feb 12. You credit ordinary shares of 100,000. July 10, you receive cash 630. You credit ordinary shares at 630. November 5, cash 1,050,000. You credit ordinary shares 1,050,000. So wala tayong share premium. Bakit wala tayong share premium? Because hindi natin alam magkano yung excess over par or overstated value because yun nga, walang stated value yung scenario number 3. So, ma'am, may tanong ako. Paano pag may binenta akong shares tapos yung bumili ng shares na yon hindi pa siya nagbayad in full? Paano yung treatment nun? Anong entries yung gagawin ko? So, to answer that question, we have this particular slide. So, ang tawag doon is subscription of shares. Ito yung binenta mo, pero yung bumili, hindi niya pa fully paid. So, yung bumili, we call that person or that entity subscriber. So, how do we prepare entries for subscription ng shares? Madali lang yan. Go over natin itong illustration dito. So, you have Warranty Auto Shop Incorporated is a quality car care center located at St. Paul Street, San Antonio Village, Makati City. And then assume that 5,000 shares of 10 par value ordinary shares of the corporation were sold on subscription at how much? At 12 pesos per share on September 1, 2019 to Ashley Langa. Subscription installments of 24,000 and 36,000 will be due on September 16 and 30 respectively. So let's go over the related entries. So first is how do we account for the 5,000 na shares na sinubscribe? Madali lang yan. Instead of debiting cash, palitan mo lang yung cash ng subscriptions receivable. So, how many shares yung sinubscribe? 5,000 shares. Magkano yung subscription price? 12 pesos per share. So, subscription price yung tawag kasi hindi fully paid. Issue price yung tawag pag fully paid. So, ayan ha, ay hindi na tayo dapat ma-confuse sa mga terms. So, again, instead of debiting cash, anong gagamitin natin? Subscription receivable. And how much is our subscription receivable? 60,000. Paano nakuha yung 60,000 ulit, ma'am? That's 5,000 shares multiplied by your subscription price of 12 pesos per share. So, using our calculator, 5,000 times 12 will give us 60,000. And then sa credit, instead of crediting automatically ordinary shares, kasi hindi pa siya fully paid, lagyan natin ng parang description yung ordinary shares. So, we credit subscribed ordinary shares para alam natin na itong shares na to hindi pa fully paid. Now, ma'am, par value itong shares na binenta ko. So, same rule pa rin ba, ma'am, nung sinabi mo kanina na par value yung magiging multiplier? Yes. So, every time you use ordinary shares na account title, kahit meron pa yan siyang konting parang description before the word ordinary shares, your multiplier will always be par value, provided that the shares that you issued are par value shares. So, how many shares yung sinubscribe? 5,000. How much is the par value? 10. So, 10 times 5 will give you 50. So, the excess will go saan? It will go to your share premium. So, ayan ha, medyo kapanan natin na any excess over the par value is credited to share premium. And then, after we record that happened, September 1, you know, pagdating ng September 16, nag-partial payment na si Ashley. So, we received cash of how much? 24,000. And ano magiging credit? Of course, we credit subscription receivable because part na is no longer subscription receivable. Naging ano na? Naging cash. Next is September 30. Magkano binayad ni Ashley? The remaining balance of 36. So, we debit cash, 36,000, and we credit subscription receivable. Upon payment of 36,000, fully paid na yung kanyang subscription receivable. So, at this point, it is no longer proper na tawaging subscribed ordinary shares yung binili niya? Because at this point, the subscribed shares are already fully paid. So, anong gagawin natin? Look at the last entry. Instead of calling it subscribed ordinary shares, anong ginawa natin? We close the subscribed ordinary shares kasi ano na siya? Issued shares na siya. Bakit siya issued, ma'am? Kasi fully paid na siya. So, it's proper to call it now ordinary shares. In this slide, we will learn ano yung magiging accounting entries natin if ever binayback ng corporation yung mga shares na originally in-issue niya. So, we call those buyback shares as, we call them yung mga buyback shares na treasury shares. So, let's have an illustration here. I got this from your book. Plantation Eco Resort is a world-class destination in Indang, Cavite. The operations have been successful to consolidate control over the enterprise and thus avoid a corporate takeover by outsiders. The board of directors decided to minimize outstanding shares by purchasing 1,500 shares with a par value of 1,000, pero binayback nila at what price? For 2,000 per share. So, what will be our entry? So, our debit is treasury stock. Bakit siya debit? Kasi nga, 'di ba? Nung in-issue mo 'yon, yung credit mo is ordinary shares. Kaso ngayon, pag binayback mo, since hindi mo pa nire-retire, to differentiate lang na hindi pa siya nire-retire, kikreate tayo ng bagong account title and we call that treasury shares or treasury stock. So the amount is 3 million. How is 3 million computed? You just simply multiply 1,500 shares at 2,000 per share. So you will get 3 million. And then of course, our credit will be cash kasi cash yung pinambayad natin. Now, ma'am, pwede ba ako mag-buyback ng shares pero hindi cash yung ipambabayad ko? Pwede naman. Pero most of the time, yung ginagamit natin na pambayad is cash. So, if the problem is silent, our automatic or immediate credit will be cash. Okay? So, ganun lang kasimple yung entry. You just determine how many shares yung binayback and then at what price. And then you just simply multiply. Walang ibang debit, walang ibang credit. So, ang debit is treasury stock and then your credit will be cash. At what amount? Yun nga, kung ilang number of shares yung binayback mo, multiply mo at buyback price. Now, ma'am, yung bang binili ko na treasury stocks or yung binayback ko ba na treasury stocks, pwede ko bang ibenta ulit yon? Yes, but before I will answer that one, I have another question. Ma'am, binigay dito, the par value is 1,000. Hindi disregard ko na ba yan at this point? Yes. Kasi na originally issue mo na yung shares. In this case, binayback mo more than the par value. Pwede ba yan, ma'am, i-buyback less than the par value? Pwede naman. Provided, magbenta nga yung pinagbilhan mo originally, diba? So, to attract them to really sell back to you, normally yung price is higher talaga than the par value. Now, going back to sa question na, ma'am, pwede ko bang ibenta yung mga shares na binayback ko na originally? Yes, pwede mo siyang ibenta. Ma'am, meron bang constraint sa price na pwede ko siyang ibenta? Wala. Pwede mo siyang ibenta more than the buyback price. Pwede mo siyang ibenta equal to the buyback price. Pwede mo rin siyang ibenta less than the buyback price. At this point, we will disregard na talaga the par value ng shares. Kasi nga, originally na-issue na, tapos binayback mo na ulit. So, let's go over different scenario ha. Sabi natin, pwedeng ibenta equal to the buyback price, more than or less than. Let's begin. What will be our entry if binenta mo siya at buyback price? So, ayan, at cost. Assume that the treasury shares were subsequently reissued at cost. So, you debit cash, magkano yan? 3 million. And then you credit treasury stock at how much? 3 million. Kasi nga at cost siya. Ibig sabihin, yung 1,500 shares, binenta mo ulit or rini-issue mo to the public at how much? At 2,000 per share. Pwede rin, sabi natin earlier, pwede mo rin siyang ibenta above cost. So, pag binenta mo siya above cost, say for example, anong sabi dito? Assume that all treasury shares were reissued at how much? 2,500 per share. That's 500 more than the cost of 2,000. So, what will be our entry? You just simply multiply 1,500, multiply that by 2,500 per share na reissue price. You get cash of how much? 3,750,000. Pero yung treasury stock na i-credit mo is equal lang kung magkano mo siya binili. Magkano mo siya binayback noon? 3 million. Because yung amount na nasa treasury stock ninyo is only 3 million. So you credit treasury stock at how much? 3 million. Now, ma'am, hindi na sila equal. So, we create another account title. What's the another account title? So, the excess will go now to your share premium. Pero this time, you have to be very specific, ha? Especially share premium coming from Treasury. So, kailangan talaga may dash Treasury shares. So, ganyan. Ganyan lang ka-simple if mag-reissue kayo above cost. Now, pangatlong scenario, ma'am, paano pag nare-issue ko below cost? So, let's go to the third scenario. Assume that the 1,500 treasury shares were reissued at 1,500. Di ba, binayback mo at 2,000. This time, nare-issue mo na lang at 1,500. What will be our entry? Again, we debit cash. Magkano yung cash? 1,500. 1,500 shares, multiply mo ng 1,500 per share, you get 2,000, you get 2,250,000. Tapos, credit mo yung treasury stock. Magkano yung treasury stock? 3 million. So, hindi equal, right? So, may additional debit tayo. Ano magiging additional debit natin? Okay, you listen carefully. Meron siyang hierarchy. Ma'am, anong ibig sabihin na meron siyang hierarchy? First, tingnan nyo muna, meron ba kayong share premium dash TS? Ulitin ko ha. Tingnan nyo muna kung may account title ba kayo na share premium dash TS. Kasi kung meron kayong account title na, aside sa may account title kayo na share premium dash TS, may laman ba yung account title na yon? Kasi kung may laman yung account title na yon, yun muna yung gamitin natin. Kung wala kang share premium dash TS, then wala tayong ibang choice but to use retained earnings. So, yung kulang dun sa cost, di ba, yung kulang or yung lower na amount below the cost, buyback cost na meron ka, i-charge na lang natin sa retained earnings. Pero again, ulitin ko ha, merong hierarchy. Before i-charge sa retained earnings, kasi di ba naka-debit yung retained earnings, before natin i-charge sa account title na retained earnings, we have to make sure first na wala bang laman yung share premium dash TS. Bakit pala ma'am pag may laman yon? Pag may laman yon, gamitin muna natin yon. For example, meron yung 50,000. So, after cash, gamitin muna natin yung 50,000 ng share premium dash TS. So, another debit yon. So, kulang pa rin ng 700,000. That's the time we use retained earnings. Pero in this case, kasi nga wala pa tayong share premium dash TS, so we use immediately retained earnings. Pero ulitin ko ha, pag may laman ng share premium dash TS, yun muna ang gamitin to balance your entries before you charge to retained earnings. Ma'am, paano pag enough yung balance ng TS? Share premium dash TS. Kailangan ko pa rin bang mag-charge to retained earnings? Hindi na. Kung say, for example, yung remaining balance ng share premium TS ninyo is 800. So, enough yung 800 to cover for the 750. May excess pa nga na 50,000. So, kung may share premium dash TS ka, tapos may laman na 800,000, itong retained earnings magiging share premium dash TS 750,000. Now, in this slide, let's talk about retirement of your treasury shares. Ma'am, ano yung retirement of TS? Retirement ang tawag dun sa process wherein yung mga binayback mo na shares mo, you don't intend to reissue them in the future. So, ang ginawa mo, na-retire mo na lang sila, ibig sabihin, hindi mo na talaga sila ibebenta pa ulit in the future. Now, in the retirement of your treasury shares, tatlo yung pwedeng maging possible scenario. Pero ang nandito sa slide natin, dalawa lang. I-discuss ko muna yung wala dito sa slide ha, or wala dun sa book ninyo. Kasi itong example na ginamit ko, taken from your book pa rin. Now, ano yung first scenario na i-discuss ko? Walang gain, wala ring loss on retirement. Kailan mangyayari na walang gain, wala ring loss on retirement? If binayback mo siya at par value. So, pag yung shares, binayback mo at par value, and then eventually you decided to retire those shares, then wala kang gain, wala ka ring loss on retirement. Anong magiging entry nun? You just debit ordinary shares. So, i-debit na ha. So, pag dinebit yung ordinary shares, that's a sign na na-retire mo na yung shares na yon, or pinatay mo na yung shares na yon. So, you debit ordinary shares. Kung gaano karami yung shares na na-retire mo, multiply mo lang sa par value. And then you credit treasury shares. So, walang other account title involved if yung treasury shares binayback mo at par value. Ulitin natin, what's your debit? Ordinary shares. So, what's your credit? Treasury shares. Because equal yung buyback price to your par value. Now, what if merong gain or merong loss? Ayan, makikita natin sa slide. Let's begin first with what if merong gain. So, meron ditong sinabi, let's assume daw na si Plantation Eco Resort purchased the treasury shares for 750. So, yan yung assumption ha. Now, if you recall, the par value of your ordinary shares is at 1,000. Pero, binayback lang natin at how much? At 750. So, basically, meron tayong gain na 250 per share. Okay? So, quote-unquote lang yan gain ha. Hindi talaga yan siya truly gain on the part of the corporation. So, how do we prepare entries if we have gain on retirement? So, madali lang yan. We debit ordinary shares kasi nga, diba, i-retire na natin siya. And then, ano yung turo ko sa inyo dun sa previous discussion natin? Dito sa lesson pa rin na to, diba sabi ko earlier sa discussion natin, when you use the account title, ordinary shares, your multiplier will always be par value. So, let's retire those 1,500 shares. So, we debit ordinary shares at 1,500,000. Bakit 1,500,000? Because that's 1,500 shares multiplied to your par value of 1,000 per share. And then, anong credit natin? So, let's credit dun sa alam na muna natin. So, we credit treasury shares. Bakit i-credit na yung treasury shares? Para mag-zero out na siya kasi na-retire mo na nga yung treasury. So, magkano ang credit natin? 1,125,000. Bakit 1,125,000? Kasi diba yung 1,500, binayback mo yon at 750 per share. Now, if you notice, your debit is 1.5 while your credit is only 1,125,000. So, to balance your entry, we create another account title, share premium. Magkano yung share premium na nabuhay dito? 375. So, hindi talaga siya gain kasi kung pure gain ito, makikita yan sa ating income statement. But if you notice, the account title created is a real account and not a temporary account. So the share premium will not be reflected in your income statement. So hindi talaga siya gain in the purest sense of the word. Now, ma'am, paano pag loss on retirement? Now, balikan natin. Di ba dun sa example natin, binayback natin yun at how much? At 2,000 per share. Now, what if yung binayback natin at 2,000 per share, hindi na natin siya i-reissue. Instead, anong gagawin natin? I-retire na natin siya. So, again, we debit ordinary shares. 1,500 multiplied to your, of course, par value. So, you have 1.5. And then your credit is Treasury. How much na buyback mo yun? Na buyback mo at 2,000 per share. Multiply mo ng 1.5, that's 3 million. So, if you look at your entries, may debit ka na OS, 1.5, may credit ka na TS, 3 million. So, hindi balanse. Yung debit side, kulang ng magkano? Kulang ng 1.5. Now, meron tayong hierarchy on how you treat the loss on retirement. So, nandiyan sa baba o sa lower part, if you will read. The loss on retirement of 1.5 should be debited to the following accounts in the order given. Okay, first, gamitin mo yung share premium nung in-issue mo yung shares na yon. So, upon original issuance, pag-issue mo ba ng shares na yon, nakakreate ka ba ng share premium -OS? If the answer is yes, yun muna ang gamitin natin. So, up to the extent of the credit when the shares is issued. Now, kung kulang pa yon, the next account title that you use is the share premium from TS. Pag kulang pa talaga si number 1 at saka si number 2, then that's the time we use retained earnings. Now, let's compute kung meron ba tayong 1. Okay? So, may additional information dyan. Anong sabi sa atin? Okay, the assumption there is initially issued mo siya at 1,500. Ayun o, nandun sa taas. Assume that a total of 10,000 shares have been issued at 1.5 per share. So, yung 1,500 na treasury na binayback mo is kasama nung 10,000 before na naibenta mo at how much? 1,500. The par value is only 1,000. So, nakapag-create yun ng 500 per share. Nakuha? So, 500 per share na OS from the original, share premium from the original issuance, multiply mo ng 1.5, you get 750. So, you have their share premium. Dapat meron yan siyang -OS para alam natin na yung share premium na yan came from the original issuance. Kaso, yung share premium from original issuance is only 750. Hindi pa enough, no, to cover the entire 1.5 na loss. So, ano ang next na gagamitin natin na account title? We go to number 2. Now, assuming na hindi mo na talaga ito na-reissue, itong treasury na to, upon buyback, ang ginawa mo, na-retire mo na siya, so hindi mo na na-reissue. So, kung hindi na na-reissue, wala na talaga tayong number 2. Hindi na talaga mangyayari yung share premium from TS. So, since walang number 2, anong sabi? Pag hindi enough yung share premium from OS, we use your retained earnings. So, magkano yung sinarge na retained earnings this time? 750,000. So, that's how you retire treasury shares. Kung may tanong, jot down ninyo yung questions and then you raise them during our synchronous discussion para ma-clarify natin ha at mabigyan ng sagot yung mga confusions ninyo.